Okay, so people talk about that we don't need carbon. Now this one has bugged me a little bit because, all right, I'm a mechanical engineer, so not a chemist. I don't think I can articulate this well, but aren't most things made out of carbon?
Yeah.
So can you just frame that a little bit and
Sure.
link it to one of the things I've enjoyed about you talking is sequestering or locking up carbon by making products. I'd love to hear about that part of your story.
Sure. Well, let's take a step back. So absolutely we need carbon. You're carbon. Basically you're carbon.
Right.
So we are all carbon. Our economy is based also on using carbon for power, fuel, and chemicals.
Right.
And I am not trying to say we need to stop that. All I want is for us to use carbon where it belongs. Okay? How much power do you need carbon for anymore? Levelized cost of electricity is about the same with renewables. But aviation fuel is an example. You need carbon, you need the energy density of the fuel. Making chemicals, you need carbon. You're not going to make carpet fiber without carbon.
Right.
And so you can't displace them from the economy. But what I believe you have to do is put them in the right place and make sure it's not single-use carbon. That's the problem. Take the carbon out of the ground, put it into a product, and then put it in the air. We feel what we have to do is give every carbon a second chance at life. That's how we think about it. Make sure you recycle carbon, make sure you reuse carbon.
And you know, this is the analogy to this that I've been thinking about over the last couple days as I've learned about what you're doing is plastic and a number of initiatives around the world that are trying to not get rid of plastic, but get rid of single-use plastic.
Exactly.
And that was a real tipping point for me because so many things were made of plastic, I don't know what other material we can use. So you're saying with carbon, yes, at the molecular level.
Exactly.
We need it.
Exactly. And actually, if you really stop and think about it for a second, we're not going to eliminate it. We want to get rid of the single-use approach. And we need to solve the problem by thinking about the problem right. Okay? You know, somebody was saying, well, we should just stop flying. That makes no sense to me. We need to fly. Kids need to be able to go to college abroad. There's a lot of great opportunities that we get rid of if we decide we're just going to stop. And that's also the reason why I think there's tremendous urgency in starting to solve this problem. The longer we wait, the harder the problem is, the more drastic the action. So before we shoot ourselves in the foot, let's make decisions to reduce carbon emissions. We can make choices to do that. And if we do, things will be easier and better.
So today we talk a lot about technology and the opportunities. And how do you see technology and solving the issues of poverty and climate change? How do you see that fitting in the developing country perspective?
And actually, this is something that I think is really important because you asked me the question earlier about one versus the other, right? And I believe that the new carbon economy that we're all working to create is a distributed economy. And if it's a distributed economy, actually it's going to help accelerate getting power to rural areas. You know, if you stop and think about it, there's a lot of centralized approaches that we use today that are being displaced. Let's talk about phone. There are people that have never seen a landline and their village or area has never gotten landlines. That centralized model is no longer appropriate for our new economy. And I think we need to think, how do we best leverage a distributed approach? And one thing that you really have to think about in terms of disrupting our carbon economy is you're not going to disrupt it by making the substitutes look exactly like the incumbent. You've got to disrupt the system. So you can say, okay, so what is this new economy going to look like? It's distributed. How do I leverage that? How do I think about it differently?